Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesdays with Trailblazers, brought to you by TechEdge AI, the video podcast where we bring you the latest trends and insights in AI and technology. I'm your host, Siddesh, and today we have with us Andrew Foo, Vice President for Customer Solutions Group in Asia Pacific and Middle East at Confluent. Andrew Fu has 20 plus years of experience in IT with experience spanning business strategy, services, delivery, education, pre-sales, and product management. So without further ado, let's welcome Andrew. Hey Andrew, how are you doing today?
Thank you for having me on your show, and hello to all your subscribers. So yes, I lead the customer solutions team for Asia Pacific and Middle East over at Confluent. And what that means is I've got responsibility for our solutions engineers, our professional services, and our customer success organizations. In essence, this is the technical field customer teams who are helping our customers and organizations envision, realize, and adopt real-time data streaming platforms that is powered by Confluent. I've been in the industry for over 20 years, as you've said. We started off as a practitioner building data warehouses and data marts, and I've always been in the data space. So that's where I've concentrated a lot of my career.
Any other career advices? I'm pretty sure our audience would love to learn a lot from your career. So any more career advices that you have from your distinct career that you've had?
That's a great question. And people have always come to me and asked me questions around like, what would you advise me if I wanted to be someone that's a thought leader or get into the data space? I think first and foremost, for the advice that I would typically give folks is just to be known for something, right? Have a point of view on a particular topic or domain that interests you. And if I were to actually look back in my career, it's always been passionate in the data space. So I've started from the very beginnings of actually coding and doing a lot of data engineering. I think in those days, we weren't calling them data engineers; they were more like programmers. But yeah, be known for something, and pick a topic or an area that you actually love.
Now, jumping right into it, Confluent recently released its fourth annual data streaming report, right? So to start with, what is the main objective behind conducting this year's report, and how does it build on the insights from the previous years?
Yeah, no. So we wanted to understand how organizations are using data streaming today, the challenges they're facing when it comes to data management and AI, and in particular where the investment priorities are. And what we're seeing this year is a real shift from last year's findings, from the previous year's finding. We're seeing that real-time data has gone from being a nice to have to a critical enabler. It is now an essential component of AI and an essential component of broader business transformation. And what we're hearing from organizations today is that, without up-to-date, contextual, trustworthy data, AI simply can't deliver useful insights. And data streaming platforms, or a DSP, are now recognized as essential for AI. A DSP, or a data streaming platform, is a new solution paradigm that sets an organization's data in motion. It does is it allows all data to be continuously streamed, processed, and shared as a product, as a data product, and making it certainly valuable, usable, and trustworthy within the organization. From the report, the majority of Australian IT leaders we surveyed say that DSPs will ease the path to enterprise level AI adoption. But while there's a surge in investment in this area, we're also seeing that many are still held back. And this is because of legacy systems that are fragmented, siloed data, and infrastructure that is limiting AI's true potential.
I mean, you just spoke about one of the findings, right? That 85% of Australian IT leaders believe that data streaming platforms will feed AI systems with real-time, contextual, and trustworthy data. Why is this capability so essential for AI success?
That's a good question. This is really important for AI. AI needs data. AI is only going to be as good as the data that you feed it. So, the data that's fueled into AI, or the faster you can fuel data into AI, will result in better AI results and in turn, better AI adoption. So in the age of AI, real-time data reigns supreme. So I'll give you an example. Imagine an AI fraud detection system working with incomplete transactional data, right? Or an intelligent travel booking system working on not up-to-date or all flight schedules. Now, both of them would fail without continuous flows of data coming through. That's why data streaming platforms are critical, and DSPs act like a central nervous system for an organization's data, enabling it to be continuously processed and analyzed so that these AI models can operate with accurate and up-to-date information. I'll give another example. and an AI-powered customer support application or system. Now, connected to a DSP, generative AI system can pull live conversations and intelligence from multiple sources, which allows predictive support and more hyper-personalized recommendations as a customer is speaking. A lot of these are the benefits that organizations are looking to put in for enriching their customer experience.
Now, the report also highlights data silos and inconsistent sources as persistent challenges, right? So, how does data streaming directly address those pain points?
Yes, happy to give more color on this. So data silos and inconsistent data are key issues a lot of businesses are facing. And it makes sense. Systems that organizations have built over many years, companies that they've acquired, represent what is today's current data architecture. And a lot of it looks like it's a spaghetti mess of data flowing everywhere. Many are still working with these legacy systems, these what are typically batch systems or batch processing, and it's spread amongst different teams. Now, we also have a divide of what is in your operational systems data and what is in your analytical systems data. So, operational systems or operational data are all your data that's sitting in your core systems, right? Your CRM, customer, your CRMs, your HRMs. These are your customer systems, your HR systems, your transactional systems. And then on your analytical side, you've got your analytics warehouses, your data lakes, your data mart, your BI applications. So there's that divide between those two as well, right? And all of this leads to fragmentation and also hampers innovation. But DSP, a data streaming platform, addresses this. It addresses it because it connects your operational systems with your analytical systems. That way you've got data flows happening in continuous real time. It also removes duplication. It standardizes data formats, so there's a common language. It gives teams governed data, trustworthy data, self-service to that data, reaching that nirvana of getting to high quality data, right? This is particularly useful also for like highly regulated sectors. And Confluent's data streaming platform with governance for streaming data also adds centralized policy management, automated controls that can detect what we call schema, violations or, when sensitive data is exposed. Schema refers to the way the data is actually organized and structured. So in summary, by breaking down these silos and addressing those inconsistencies at the source, data streaming platforms or data streaming, transform messy, disconnected data into a trusted asset. And it's with these trusted data assets that organizations can confidently use to power AI and innovation.
That sounds wonderful. Another aspect I want to highlight is the report also showed 93% of IT leaders who plan to increase their data streaming investment in 2025, slightly higher than the global average. So what's driving that momentum locally?
There are a couple of different reasons. An evolving regulatory landscape, right? Particularly around data security and data management. Now, this means Australian organizations are more focused than ever on how their data is being stored, how it's being processed and governed. And secondly, at the same time, these organizations are under pressure to move fast with AI adoption and modernize their businesses, right? So AI is redefining businesses, every C-level executive is thinking about it. It is redefining competition, how they operate, how they can better engage with their customers to survive and thrive. Organizations now are challenged by all methods and they have to embrace a new way of thinking. Now, the report also highlights, investment in security, and security management. So, platforms that store, manage, data, serve and flow and that serve data needs to be part of that platform modernization. So, data streaming helps address these issues. It provides governed, secure real-time flows so that businesses can meet these regulatory requirements while still making the data available for AI and real-time decision. Yeah. Now going back to the report, we saw that nearly every IT leader that we surveyed see multiple benefits in doing so, right? Now, majority of those have adopted data streaming, see about a 2 to 5 times return on investment, right? And 12% of them are even reporting a 10 times return. So I think the approach that we have by way of adopting data streaming platforms is really resonating with a lot of organizations.
Pretty interesting out there. Now, the study also shows that, round about 84% of IT leaders in Australia have adopted what we call shift left approach. For those unfamiliar, can you explain what that means in practice and why it matters actually?
Yeah, no, certainly. Put simply, shift left is it's a new paradigm for processing and governing data at any scale, complexity, and latency. Now, what does that actually mean? In traditional data management methods, data movement and processing typically is done from left to right. Data is ETL'd, or extracted, transform, and load, or in simple terms, forwarded, transform, enriched, and loaded, typically in a scheduled or batch process. And then move from source systems to landing zones to multiple layers of bronze, silver, gold, depending on the data quality, which typically will end up in a data lake or a data warehouse. Now, with shift left, it's a paradigm where you would do exactly that. You move things towards the left. And now, what this does is it sees organizations performing the data processing and the governance much more closer to the source of where that data is actually being generated. So earlier in the data pipeline. Now, what this means is that it significantly improves data reliability. It improves operational efficiency and faster access to the data, right? As data gets created. So it's continuous. And unlike traditional data processing frameworks, all of this is done and governed closer to the source. And there are many benefits in doing that. Shifting left means that you end up with more reliable data. It's more efficient. There's inherently cost savings. You minimize processing and infrastructure costs instead of doing the data preparation upstream. And this helps with improved decision making, right? So as I said, if you move things closer and to the source and you're using continuous data, that helps with, faster business insights as well as decision making.
That's actually powerful and kind of a good ring to it. Shift approach. I never heard about it previously. Love it. Thank you so much for the wonderful insights. Now, beyond AI, Andrew, what other business innovations do you see data streaming unlocking for Australian organizations?
What we're seeing more broadly is that data streaming is helping Australian organizations run businesses at the speed of them. So it's not just about storing information anymore. It's about putting that data in motion to improve products, to improve services, to enrich customer experiences, and doing so in real time. Businesses happen in real time. Data is being generated in real time. Interacting with customers are happening in real time. So, that's what we're seeing. And we'll give you some examples. Some of the local companies or local organizations that we've worked with, Kmart, which is a prominent retailer over here in Australia, right? They use Confluent to power their OnePass loyalty program. So what this means is that they are using data streaming to personalize offers at scale in real time. And then going to the public sector, government agencies over here in New South Wales, we have Service New South Wales, our government agency. They also use streaming to build what is a single view of their customer, which essentially means that citizens only need to tell their story once. And this has improved how customers and small businesses interact with government services immensely.
Basically, we wanted to understand in today's world, right? There's always this ethical use of AI, and you've known data like no one before. To be honest, I've not spoken to anyone who knows data more than you, to be honest. So I want to understand, in today's world where we're feeding so much of data into AI, right? How much data is too much data?
How much data is too much data? That is an interesting question. That's actually bordering into what you were saying before around ethics, right? And whilst I'm not an expert on ethics, I will peel back to the fact that with access to data, means there's also an inherent need for making sure that you're actually putting in the right governance around that, right? It's hard to talk about data without talking about governance. And if you think that governing data at rest, so, traditional data that sits in and stored in systems rather than data in motion, like real-time data. If you think that governing data at rest is hard, imagine what you have to do with governing real-time data, right? Now, the good news is that when I speak about a data streaming platform, there is a capability to actually govern the data, or streaming governance, as I called it earlier before. And, that responsibility of doing that is making sure that you ensure that you've got, the right controls around that. You've got the right level of access. So people that can access the data, or users that can access the data, the right level of of auditing in terms of who is accessing the data, and also making sure that the right visibility is available. So what data they can actually see and what they shouldn't. So that is really important around the governance aspect when it comes to data, because that is immensely important when it comes to real-time data and streaming data that need to go in and feed into AI applications, right? Your Gen AI, your agentic AI apps that are out there. So those controls are extremely important.
What do you think from a decade from now? What do we have in future? What's the future store for like data streaming platforms according to you?
The future of data streaming platforms. And so I think that's a great question around where it's actually heading. What we'd like to see is the democratization of DSPs, right? And today, I know when we look at the data streaming report, the majority of organizations are already starting to look at implementing it, which is great to see. But in order to actually make that proliferation within an organization, there are a number of things that need to happen, right? We need to make it easily accessible, easily connectable to a number or many data sources to be able to connect to them. So being able to connect to a lot of data systems and data sources, we call them connectors, is extremely important so that organizations can easily tap into that, right? The ability to go ahead and stream, but also process it in real time. So it's not about streaming the data. It's not moving from point A to point B very, very quickly. But as data is continuously moving, you're enriching it, you're transforming it, you're making decisions on the fly in real time. So real-time stream processing is going to be very important. And then, the other thing that's going to be critical, as I had mentioned earlier before, is, whilst all this is happening, that you have the right level of data governance around that. So, that's going to be inherently important because data doesn't just live within an organization. It lives on premise in your data centers. It lives in the public cloud. And a lot of organizations are starting to look at hybrid clouds as a solution. So being able to protect, manage, control across that data plane on premise and in the cloud is going to be immensely important.
I mean, those were some wonderful insights, Andrew, and really enjoyed hosting in our podcast, Tuesday with Trailblazers. And thank you all for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. Until next time, stay tuned with TechEdge AI for more insights. Till we meet again, signing off, your host, Siddesh.